Okay.
I'll start again. That was good.
Take two.
Take two. That'll be a good little outtake maybe. Or not, who knows. Okay. Hi and welcome to the Flippin'.
Should I do it?
Can you?
Hi, and welcome to the Manufacturing Matters podcast.
The podcast where we talk about all matters around manufacturing. My name is Michael, this is Adrienne, and today we're going to be talking about how customer success can help manufacturers. So in the past, I've talked to people a lot about how they can do change management, and from the manufacturer side, or for us from the customer side. But it would be nice to look at it from the perspective of a vendor like Factbird, about what we should be doing better or what we can do to help manufacturers use our tools. So hi, Adrienne.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining. So Adrienne has got a lot of experience, or good experience, in manufacturing. So working at a robotics startup previous to Factbird. Mm-hmm. You're our person on the ground, the customer success manager in the US.
Yep.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from the great state of Michigan, way up north. But today I'm in Copenhagen.
Yeah. What's happening in Michigan? What's famous about Michigan?
You're gonna know Detroit. If you're a manufacturer, you know the big automotive city. But if you're a real Michigander, you know it's all about the lakes.
Okay. So if you're a local, it's about the lakes, and if you're from the outside, it's about the manufacturing
industry
hub of Detroit. Okay. Awesome. Okay, let's get into it. So the first question is setting the scene. So what is customer success actually?
Well, unfortunately, it is what it sounds like.
Yes.
It's about...
Or fortunately, it's a good thing.
Fortunately. Customer success at any organization is about seeing your customers succeed. It's really about building the bridge between, why your customer bought your product and what they actually want to achieve with it. And I know there's a lot of different roles at companies that are working towards building a product that helps customers achieve goals, but this role specifically is about learning their business and what they want to get out of the product.
Yeah. So at companies like ours, like the thing that everybody needs to do in every role except for maybe finance is they have to understand the customers if they want to do their job well. But for people in customer success, that need is particularly acute. Like that's the main thing. Know the customer.
Yeah, we get to go into their facilities and see what they do every day and learn about what kind of problems they're having and see the day-to-day struggle and help them build a vision for how that's going to change with what we're providing.
Yeah, would you say that's the goal of customer success?
Yeah. I think the goal is really moving them from this transactional relationship where they meet a Factbird representative and they hear about the vision and the dream and they buy our products. And then, we're working to implement that with them, and it's about collecting data, starting to change their manufacturing processes, but what's next is what we start building with them. We're optimizing their processes, we're helping them engage with their customers in a better way because they have the time and they have the tools to do it now.
Yeah, so you really step in after the decision has been made to use a product like Factbird and then help them use it well.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, I think it's an interesting job to have. It's good.
Yeah.
Similar to marketing in ways, but more contact with the customer, which is really nice. So what challenges do customer success managers like yourself help manufacturers with in particular?
Yeah, I think manufacturing is a really unique industry because it can be so complex. There's operators, there's production managers, there's executives that are all kind of coming together with competing priorities, but the same end goal. And because it's so complex, it's really beneficial to have someone like a customer success manager be a third party to your business. And when you're implementing a new solution, they are there to guide you with how each part of the business is going to start engaging with a product, start engaging with making changes. I definitely think change management from one single manager isn't the whole picture. I think when you get each level of a business, that's when you can really start seeing change.
So yeah, a challenge is that there's many different people in a manufacturing organization with like lots of different demands.
Yeah.
Just mirroring back what you're saying. And
Different demands, different systems, different day-to-days, and specifically software tools that we bring into a business. Sometimes they're eliminating processes, sometimes they're changing processes, and it's important to get everyone on the same page to make a change quickly, to make a change sustainable, to make it successful. And I think within an organization, a salesperson can show you what that might look like, but a customer success person is going to help that become a reality on your floor.
Yeah, so you kind of help customers realize the goals that they had when purchasing a product. Yeah,
realize their goals, realize the value in a quicker period of time and over a long period of time.
Yeah.
And I think software tools have so much potential that they need to continue to evolve with businesses. And, seeing all of that potential just as a consumer is kind of difficult unless you have a product expert that's there to guide you through the process of implementation and keep them educated about how our product is changing, how the industry is changing. Obviously customers are the expert in their own craft, but customer success managers come in as the expert of our product, and we also have the benefit of seeing how different industries are using our product, and it kind of makes us a good guide to how they could be using it. And I'm there to make recommendations about this works for some manufacturers, this is working for other ones, and help them test out what's going to make them the most successful.
Yeah, that's a really good point because, products like Factbird, we're a small part of what our customers are doing.
Small part of a big picture.
Yeah, exactly. And if the more we can ease the burden of it, so the less thinking involved to do things in a sort of best practice kind of way, the better for our customers, right? So you can come in with experience and knowledge about what other customers are doing and being like, okay, your operation is very similar to this one, and then this would be a good setup for you guys.
Yeah. I love to view it as like providing best practices and then seeing their application of those best practices, and then also getting to see an iteration of like what needs to change for them too, because each business is unique, and they get to make small changes that create a really big impact on their floor.
Yeah. So you help make that happen. Yeah, so that's a big challenge. So yeah, getting adoption across the team, change management. Have we spoken about getting started actually? Like when we bring in new software to a company?
Yeah, I think, like I was saying, manufacturing is very complex and it requires having a thoughtful approach when you go in to make a change. We get to talk to customers and take a deep dive into what today looks like, how they're going to start migrating into our system, and what that's going to look like tomorrow and the day after. I think it requires multiple stakeholders, meetings, a lot of time to just develop that, but it's really important to get a good base and understanding of the product and what you really want to get out of it. And out of everyone at the company that touches the product and the customer, a customer success manager gets to hold that at the highest priority of, how do we start well, how do we keep building with the product, and how do you achieve your goals?
Yeah, so you sort of help keep that focus on the priority as well, right?
Yeah, and I think with manufacturers, everyone has their day-to-day priorities, and it's a really fast-moving industry with change, and just even with day-to-day production is a really demanding environment. So to have somebody that's going to keep driving them towards the goal that they set, to have this implemented, to have it, changing the metrics on their floor, that's what I'm going to keep bringing to each meeting and helping them achieve that.
Yeah, because the challenges in manufacturing are immense. There's so making sure that orders are filled, making sure that the work environment is safe, making sure that the digitization and staying competitive and all of these conflicting things. we're helping with many parts of that. But yeah, so you're the person that is sort of coming from Factbird and saying, these are the goals that you set, and are we on track, and how are we doing? And you sort of keep that moving, but you're also advocating maybe back a bit as well, for you're like the voice of the customer a bit, and the
Voice of the customer inside the company.
Yeah.
We love to say that.
That's well, do you love to say that? That's a very
No, it's true though, because as we continue to develop our product and grow as an internal organization, we are building a tool that is for a customer. So we want to know how they use it. We want to know their struggles and their successes. And I love getting to see on a day-to-day basis how we adapt for our customers as well.
Yeah.
And over time, we're really just trying to deliver something that's going to work to build their future.
So in my time at Factbird and visiting manufacturers, and also just professionally, I know that sometimes you can buy a tool and then it sort of gets deprioritized and it sits by the side, or you're not really using it correctly, and then you're kind of paying for this thing that you feel like you're not getting much value out of. Is that another major challenge?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think people see that all the time when they're trying to implement a new solution. Like it was such a big deal. They had these KPIs that they were really driving towards, but change is hard. And that's why you need support while you're doing it. And I think helping customers realize the value of the product really starts with their goals. And sometimes customers come in our door and say, this is a really important KPI for us, and we know that our performance hinges on these 3 things. But even introducing our product, which is showing customers their real data, sometimes changes that goal, which is why it's really good to have somebody that's building this process out with them. And I always try to drive them towards, what would success look like for you on your floor in the next 3 months, 5 months, year, and then just keep driving our changes towards those. And, our tool tracks that really well, and it's very obvious, but I think with any kind of implementation process, that's how we try to center our conversations is, are you seeing the benefit on your floor? Has your data changed? What does the day-to-day on the floor look like? Is that really changing as your processes change as well?
Yeah. So you're really helping people get value out of it, and you're looking at short-term, medium-term, long-term, and making sure people are meeting the goals that they have.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you say that is definitely an advantage of working at Factbird, because our product is also about measuring change.
Yeah.
So it's quite nice that the product that we're partnering up with companies with is also can measure its own success.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, that's why I'm here. And I think there's little nuances about our product that you can see your data, you can see change, but everyone wants to see different things that matter to them. And that's why customer success is important as well. We are there to keep them updated on new features and how do you view this the way that you're looking to. There's a lot of customization that customers become capable of when they're digitalizing their processes.
Yeah.
And I think being able to translate what our product does to what they're looking for, it's sometimes beneficial to have somebody who can bring in engineers to come and support that process, or who can just explain how I've seen it done before.
Yeah, exactly. It's really good. So that's a good bunch of challenges. So it's hard to get started with new software. It's hard to get adoption across the entire team. So from executives to plant managers to line managers to technicians to operators, they're all interacting with the same product. So that's quite difficult. And then change management in general, that's something that I keep talking to people about. It's something like top of mind for especially leadership in manufacturing organizations. And then getting the most out of the product. These are all things, of course, there's many other challenges with implementing manufacturing software, but as a customer success manager, that's what you're particularly good at.
Yeah, and I think it's obvious when you buy a product that it should help us achieve those things.
Yeah.
And it will eventually, but the steps from purchase to achieving those goals is sometimes complicated, and it's deserving of having somebody who can guide you through that and, keep you on track, and also let you know best practices along the way, and, be there to support you through that whole process.
Yeah. So what qualities do you think like a good customer success manager should have?
I think being an expert in the product that you are educating a customer on is very important. And I love to be in those meetings where they're discovering things about the product and you get to work alongside them and, just uncover what's going to work well for them. Yeah, definitely being able to lend knowledge from inside the company, but also being a curious person that wants to learn about their business.
Yeah.
And really that's the beginning of the customer success process, is having a manufacturer tell me about what the day-to-day looks like, what their challenges are, how they're looking for their business to grow. And as a company, we're always striving to learn and know our customer. And that really is the goal of a customer success manager, is to know that and to be able to communicate it back to our company as well.
Yeah.
But that's a fantastic part of the job, is just getting to talk to people about what their day-to-day looks like and just being curious and being encouraging while they're making changes.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a certain amount of, you could say, translation involved as well, right? Because you're working with people in different industries like food and beverage, packaging, and whatever. And then even within those industries, different companies have different ways of describing things. So it's like finding out how they're describing it and then sort of relating it to the stuff we do, or trying to find common language for it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Relating process to product to changes and goals is most of the job. And it's nice to have, a really supportive team internally that they built this product. They are the experts in the product, and to go and lend that knowledge externally and, come back and be the expert in my customer.
That's awesome. So, so as a final question, what does customer success look like for you?
Love that. For me, it looks like our customer loving our product because it's working for them, and wanting to keep growing with our product and transitioning from somebody who purchased something to somebody who feels more like a partner. And when they go to start building their business, and they're going to expand upon the initial problems they wanted to solve and start coming to you with new problems that they know and trust you to be the solution for.
Yep.
And we talk about, growing your business and expanding. We want to build that alongside with our partners and be what helps them grow.
Yeah, so like become an integral part of their growth journey.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Brilliant. Yeah, so I hope as people in the manufacturing industry, that was a nice little insight into customer success, or current customers, about how you can work with my great colleague Adrienne, or competitors about how you can set up a good customer success program. That was super insightful. So thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for turning off the camera, Gabriel. Yeah, really like to wait on that one. It's good. Just put your finger on the button up there. There we go.